From the water table to our soils to the atmosphere itself, our world is becoming more and more toxic each and every day. But it's not just the air outside that's toxic. Indoor air has been shown to have 2 to 5 times higher concentrations of pollutants than even outdoor air. And most Americans spend 90% of their time inside using toxic chemicals within their homes. There are more than 42 million smokers in the United States. Well over 1,000 types of mold and mildew linked to numerous conditions. And don't forget the fact that 6 million Americans live with pets they're allergic to as well. When I began to research these statistics, it was clear to me it was time to start cleansing my lungs in order to combat the toxic environment that we cannot escape, but that we can fight back against. Made with organic and wild cultivated herbs and manufactured in the USA, the new InfoWars Life Lung Cleanse is here in a convenient spray bottle that can be brought with you throughout any toxic environment. Now available exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
SAC, this is Crystal Palace. Sync NORAD has declared DEFCON 3. Scramble all alert aircraft. I repeat, scramble all alert aircraft.
The Whopper spends all its time thinking about World War III.
Target selection complete. Time on target sequence complete.
22 Typhoon-class submarines departing Petropavlovsk, turning southbound at Nordkap, bearing 095 degrees.
Radar reports 2 unknown tracks are penetrating the Alaskan air defense zone.
From the front lines of the information war.
Flush the bombers, get the subs in launch mode. We are at DEFCON 1.
Are you prepared to destroy the enemy?
You betcha.
Defending the Republic from enemies, foreign and domestic.
We'll keep control, but we'll keep it here at the top where it belongs.
3, 2, 1. Impact.
Shall we play a game?
How about global thermonuclear war?
Live from the Infowars.com studios, it's Alex Jones.
All units confirm weapons targeted and ready, awaiting launch codes.
We are in a launch mode.
Do you really believe that the enemy would attack without provocation?
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
We're in. Russians are still denying everything, sir. We have a Soviet submarine launch detection.
I wish I didn't know about any of this. I wish I was like everybody else.
Strange game. The only winning move is not to play.
The only winning move is not to play. That's the bottom line that we're discussing here, ladies and gentlemen. And the headline at Infowars.com reads from Reuters, "Don't mess with nuclear Russia," Putin says. He goes on to say that anyone that engages any of our military forces will be responded to with our full military might. You can read the full quotes up on Infowars.com. Breaking, Putin says, don't mess with nuclear Russia. The video is going up in real time right now. Now, it's in Russian, but I'm going to go ahead and play some of this now. This just broke in the last 30 minutes. This was released by RT. Here it is.
Mr. Putin, good afternoon. My name is Mr. Makarika, and I'm from St. Petersburg Polytechnical University. I'd like to express a big thanks for your visit to Seliger. Mr. Putin, it's an educational forum, but of course we follow the developments that are happening around the world, and some of the events are linked to Ukraine. You met with President Poroshenko in Minsk, and Mr. Lavrov also told us about sending another humanitarian convoy, and also the militia now announced that they will continue their military operation. He also asked the militia to provide a humanitarian corridor to avoid bloodshed. There were also media reports about possible tougher sanctions. Also, Russian servicemen were reportedly detained on the territory of Ukraine. Could you give us your take on the situation, and what are the future developments in your view? Thank you. So let's start with our servicemen. I made a statement about that. You know, Ukrainian servicemen also found themselves on the Russian territory, and in larger numbers. Once we had 450 servicemen, then we had another 60 and another 16, many of them with arms, and some of them, they went to Russia and just said, you know, we were lost, but what we saw was that they were with armored vehicles. Well, I do believe that they got lost. We don't have a clear demarcation in some of the areas. So I think it's a purely technical issue. We discussed that with the President of Ukraine, Mr. Poroshenko, and he assured me that the Russian soldiers will be handed over to Russia just like Russia handed over and hands over a serviceman from Ukraine.
Folks, this is a 2.5-hour video. That's why it was just released in the last 30 minutes or so. That's why no major media yet has the specific quotes. We have the text released by RT. We've got our guys reviewing it right now. We will go through this and get to the part where he talks about don't mess with Russia and we'll retaliate and the rest of it. But the full transcript is on Infowars.com, and the video is posted there as well. In fact, we're going to post it separately with the word video in the headline so folks can see that if they want. But no one's perfect in this whole thing. Russia has done a lot of bad things to Ukraine, but part of Ukraine has been part of Russia basically forever. The Western Ukrainians have done a lot of bad stuff to Eastern Ukrainians. We're not in the middle as Americans in their tribal sectarian warfare. The EU is in there manipulating things to consolidate power and control. That's what's happening. And they want to suck that country dry. That's why they ethnically want to bring in groups and then hype them up racially into the United States, not to assimilate, but to be their own group attached to the Democratic Party. That's race-based politics. The Democrats did that and ran the country for over 100 years with the Klan. When Christian Republicans wouldn't go along with it, with Martin Luther King and others that were Republicans, and I'm not saying Republicans are perfect, they're part of the corrupt political class, the Democrats switched to racial politics with minorities. And now they've brought in a majority of minorities. If there was one white person huddling in a corner about to be shot in the head, that'd be a majority. So this is how the political correctness works, race-based politics. But they've gotten rid of the population's immune system to this form of manipulation to where we just accept anything. Accept Obamacare, a giant criminal operation that big corporations are exempt from. That's illegal. And that raises taxes on poor people, or you're against black people because Obama's black and he couldn't do anything wrong. This is how the system operates. And you've got incredible war propaganda going on right now. Here's the headline in the London Telegraph from 2008, a few days after 888, when Georgia launched an attack on Russian-held areas of Abkhazia and South Ossetia that have been Russian enclaves forever. Russia threatens nuclear attack on Poland over U.S. missile shield. Russia threatened a nuclear strike against Poland after a landmark deal to cite American global anti-missile shields in its country. Because what they really are, and what the Pentagon admits they are, is a system to where you can launch a nuclear attack on Russia, they try to launch a response, and the missiles shoot that down. And they talk to us like children and go, no, it's to shoot down missiles if Russia shoots first. Of course. But it's an escalation because you can hit Russia and then they can't respond back. So it's a major act of war to bring anti-missile systems up to somebody's border. Can you imagine if Russians in Canada and Mexico were stationing these? The United States would hit the targets. We have found the clip of Putin talking about the response to the situation in Ukraine. So here it is from the 2.5-hour meeting. We're going to play this clip. Then we're going to get this clip and excise it out for folks and put it up on Infowars.com. But here it is, Vladimir Putin telling NATO, the West, George Soros, and the rest of them, love him or hate him, they've got the nuclear weapons. Do not push us. Don't mess with Russia. Here is the clip.
Historical memory is a very important component of our culture, our history, our lives today. And of course, we should also consider the future based on our historical experience and our historical memory. So I can tell you straight away that Russia is far from being involved in large-scale conflicts. We don't want that, and we're not going to do that. Of course, we should always be ready to repel any aggression, any attack on Russia. Regardless of the situation our partners nations are in, they should always realize that they would be better off not messing with us, talking about a possible military conflict. But thankfully, I don't think anybody seriously considers the possibility of starting a military conflict with Russia. I would like to remind you that Russia is one of the biggest nuclear powers. These are not just words, this is real, and we actually strengthen our nuclear forces. They are more compact now, but they're also more efficient. They're more modern. They have modern weaponry. And we continue to boost their potential, and we are going to do this in the future as well. This is not to threaten anybody. This is just for us to feel protected and be able to implement our economic and social plans. As far as cycles are concerned, yes, I think that global development is cyclical. Primarily, I think, because
обоснованностью и правильностью развития экономики циклами.
The economy develops in cycles, and this has been proven. If we have any economists present here.
There it is in context. There's the audio, there's the video. We'll get that clip. We'll have it up on Infowars.com, up on YouTube in the next 30 minutes or so. We have the full 2+ hours up, but we're going to have that for everybody updated to Infowars.com. We're going to get that posted on one of our YouTube channels right now for everybody else as well, if you're a radio listener. We do have Ray McGovern, former top CIA briefer to Ronald Reagan and George Herbert Walker Bush, who was on with us on August 15th, 2 weeks ago, warning a little less than 2 weeks ago that this could lead to nuclear war and that it's a very real threat. Every major analyst I talk to, people formerly in defense intelligence, CIA, professors, on and off air, and all the trade publications I read, military publications, Pentagon statements. I mean, this is a real push up into the border of Russia. And if NATO troops start engaging Russian troops who feel like they're in their interest with their military bases, their pipelines, when they're trying to cut Russia off from Europe, which will hurt Europe big time as well. This isn't America where Obama just gets to shut down 1/3 of our power plants and double, on average, our electricity prices in 7 years. This isn't America where they get to pass a health care law that raises 7 taxes on poor people with death panels and death panels at the VA. This is Russia we're talking about that has its own set of problems. But their public is more informed, on average. You can look at the studies on that. They know geographically what's going on. They understand it. They have the memory of 20 million Russians dying in World War II. The Germans have it as well. 20 million Germans died. Only 5-6 million of those were troops. So Governments do this. They make decisions, they do things. Tens of millions died overall from war and famine in the Napoleonic Wars, all 3 rounds. And people never think it's going to happen until it happens. And this time, there's nuclear weapons. I believe the Bible. But I don't believe the establishment interpretations of it where we all get raptured out of this. No, it says the beast wages war on the saints and overcomes them. Then there's a big revival. People wake up and start repenting. There's awakening around the